Today I'm sharing a video which I hope you will watch in its entirety and maybe repeat a second time. I really believe that there's value in this video that you can apply to your situation and help you to heal yourself. Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. And today I want to talk about the core emotional or inner reason for your illness and what we can do to address the core emotional problem, the core emotional inner needs that you have. So let's talk about the core of your illness from a mind-body perspective, from the perspective of not the physical body and what it's doing and how we can help the physical body with diet and exercise and all these other modalities, but what emotionally or mentally is underneath why the body is in disharmony, why the body is in dis-ease. So when we're looking at the root cause, we always look at emotions because, again, everything is energy. What is stuck in our body? What is energy, right? What is emotions? It's energy in motion. So why are we stuck in these low vibrational frequencies? They're emotional frequencies. They have an emotion to them. They have a frequency of a low energy, but there's an emotion attached to them. So there's usually a few powerful emotional states that are the cause or the underlying problem to physical illness and physical health. And usually it's either like a deep sadness, or we have a deep anger, or a deep state of fear and anxiety, or a withdrawal, a state of withdrawal, a state of freeze or shut down, this helpless, hopeless feeling. So each person has their own way of dealing with problems that are in their life. And emotions are just basically pointing to something that your inner self wants you to see and feel. So these are all pointers. Emotions are like, hey, look at this, feel this. We need to acknowledge this. That's what they are. They're states of energy passing through that the body wants you to take note of and feel and do something about. And depending on what type of personality you are, or what type of history you've had, or how you've grown up, or how you've dealt with things and experiences in your past, you lean towards, one emotion or the other more heavily. When there's a problem, when there's something that needs to be addressed, when there's something that's bothering you. Some people will go straight to anger. Some people will detach completely and withdraw and isolate. Others will fall into overwhelming despair and sadness, and maybe a combination depending on what issue you're dealing with. But usually you lean towards, being really sad, like depression, or being really anxious, right? Fearful, anxiety, or withdrawing, right? Shutdown. So we all kind of have a way that we deal with uncomfortable sensations in the body that are bubbling to the surface, that are really just pointing us that something's not right inside, that we're feeling bad, that we don't like what's going on. Often we either try to hide from this emotion, right? Like dismiss it, or disown it, or run away from it, or ignore it. We could have that tendency, or we could have the tendency to try to it's uncomfortable, so let's fix it. Let's change it. Let's try to do something to fix it and change it and make it different. But ignoring emotions is sometimes they'll get more intense. The reason why they get more intense when we try to either fix them, change them, deny them, disown them, ignore them, is because they're saying, no, it's a problem. Look at me. And not only just feel me, but understand why I'm here. Understand what I'm trying to tell you and fix the problem, because I don't like feeling like this. So there's usually a reason that the emotion exists, a tangible reason that this emotion exists and what it's trying to tell you. And it's pointing to a person or a relationship or an experience or a situation in your life that you are at unease with, right? You are at unharmony with. And if the emotions get overlooked and pushed down and denied and disowned and rejected and tried to fix for long enough, if they don't get heard, they just turn the volume up louder and louder and louder until they get kind of stuck, and it manifests as dis-ease in the body. Now we see and feel the disharmony in the body in a physical form, because now you can't ignore that. You cannot ignore this physical form. You must now pay attention to it, right? You tried to ignore me when I tried to point to the problem and let you feel me as an emotion. So now I'm going to let you feel me as a physical problem. I really, really don't want you to ignore this dis-ease that you have going on inside. Something is out of balance and out of harmony, and I want you to feel the emotions so that you can recognize what's going on in your life that's out of balance, incongruent with your own authenticity and who you are, and what's not working and what's making you feel this way. But by the time we have physical illness, we're so obsessed with the pain or the symptom itself or the sensation, and we're riveted to it, and our nervous system has been hijacked and it's in fight or flight, and we can no longer pay attention to the emotions or even look at the deeper meaning underneath them, because we're so all consumed by the physicality of it all, right? It's very hard to do the deeper work when you're now focused and fixated on the body and just the physicality and the five senses of it all, the feeling, the way it makes you feel, and the touch and the sense. And your five senses are overloaded with often unbearable, painful feelings and sensations that are causing this physical disease or condition or whatever it is that you're suffering from. So that's why, yes, there's things in the physical body that we need to do and take care of. And there can be physical roots to illness as well that have been ignored, that need addressing. But often we need to go back to the emotions, right? What is this physical sensation that's in my body? What emotion is it entangled with, right? We need to work our way back now, reverse engineer it. So we got here this way, and we have to reverse engineer our way out of it. So because we can't focus on anything but the physical pain, we need to start during meditation, during our silent reflections, during journaling, during any technique that we are doing to try to calm the central nervous system and bring down some of these physical responses in the body. We need to be addressing, okay, what is the physical emotion that is entangled with this physical sensation? What is the emotion underneath it? Is it sadness? Right? Is it like sadness, grief, loss? Is it abandonment? Is it shame? Is it guilt? Is it helplessness? Is it hopelessness? Is it anger? Is it fear? Anxiety, worry, right? So there's all these different emotions, but really there's just kind of like the three. You're in shutdown, you're in fear, you're in anger, or you're in sadness. There's those four big categories. Which one is it, right? And you can even just sit in meditation and ask yourself, why am I sad? Even if you don't feel sad, why am I sad? What makes me sad? What in my life is making me feel sad? Why am I sad? You can do that with anger too. You can say, why am I so angry? Why do I feel so angry? What's making me so angry? Why have I withdrawn? Why am I shut down? Why am I afraid to feel? Why am I shut down? Why am I scared? Why am I anxious? What am I scared of? What are my deepest fears? What are those things that really scare me deep down? The things, those fears. Where do I feel out of control? So these are questions that you can ask yourself to really try to understand what's at the root, right? What emotion is there? And often you'll ask yourself those questions. And at first you might just, I'm angry about the physical sensations. I'm sad about the physical sensations. I'm shut down because of the physical sensations. But when you ask yourself to go deeper, no, if these physical sensations wasn't here, and I was perfectly healthy and I was just sitting here, what am I sad about? What am I scared of? What am I still scared of? What am I still sad about? What am I still angry over? Because remember, it was the problem in the first place that brought on the emotion. And the emotion, the denied and ignored emotion, that brought on the illness. So when we reverse engineer it, we go from the physical illness, we try to find out what emotion or is entangled with that. What is the emotional state? Is it what is it? Am I at the root, at the heart of it? Is it fear, sadness, shutdown, withdrawal, or is it anger? Right? What is at the heart of it? What, in my deepest, when someone asks me that question that really gets to the heart of me, do I want to scream and yell, or do I want to break down and cry? Or do I totally shut off and have no access to feelings and withdraw from everything? What happens to me at the core most often when these big emotions come up? And that'll give you a clue, are you sad? Are you angry? Are you mad? But even still, emotions are just the way we deal with things. They're just how we're programmed. They're just pointing to something underneath the emotion. So the emotion isn't the problem. It's not even the sadness or the anxiety or the fear or the shutdown, the withdrawal. It's not even that. It's whatever's underneath it. And the emotions are just expressing that there's a problem underneath it. So the problem is at the root of it all. So sometimes when we do techniques and we get stuck in emotions too long, or we get stuck in the physical body too long, and we're working on these techniques that work on these things, we're forgetting that there's still something underneath that. And it's the problem to begin with. It's the problem, usually, that we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel loved, we don't feel worthy. Somebody has not seen us. We have denied a part of ourselves. We have not been acknowledged in some way, or recognized in some way, or heard in some way, or validated in some way, or respected in some way when we needed to. So you need to ask yourself, what experience do you keep reliving or keep thinking about? What is it that is unresolved about that? We're looking for unresolved situations. And that's why, journaling can be a really effective technique, right? What is unresolved in our life? What do we need closure on to feel a different way? What experience happened to us where we weren't seen and heard and acknowledged, and it just wasn't okay with us, and it just still isn't okay with us? We weren't heard in the way we needed to be heard. We weren't seen in the way we needed to be seen. We allowed ourselves not to be heard or seen in the way we wanted to be heard or seen. We let that be okay, or we pretended it was okay, or we put on a face, or we moved forward with our life when it just still wasn't okay. We needed that apology, or we needed to be seen in that way. We needed to express our emotions deeply over something, over a relationship or a situation or a person. Something did not sit right with us at our soul level, in our heart, in our soul, right? At the truest, it's in a soul level because it's at the truest, realest, higher self of you. You sort of abandon yourself in those moments, and you pushed your feelings down, you pushed your emotions down, you didn't express what needed to be expressed, you didn't get seen or witnessed or heard or express what you needed to say and do in those moments. And it just was never okay with you inside. It never sat right with you inside. And these are the questions you need to ask yourself during the meditation or during the journaling or during, any technique that you are doing that is meant to get at past traumas or emotions or whatever. We don't want to relive all these things. It doesn't matter about reliving them. It's like, what is still inside you that is unresolved, that is unacknowledged, that you didn't get to say, you didn't get the closure, you didn't get to say or feel how you wanted to. It really bothered you that person did that. They didn't see you in a certain way. They didn't apologize to you. You were hurt. In what ways have you been deeply harmed and hurt? Where is the hurt still living? What is the hurt still living? Often it's not just that person did something or somebody else outside of you did or said something or didn't acknowledge. It's that you allowed it to happen. So really you're the perpetrator. You allowed yourself not to be heard fully or seen fully or be the fullest expression of what you needed. You suppressed something to either please someone else or in order to move on or to, take care of your life or your situation or your kids or your family or your friends or be the bigger person or whatever it was. You didn't take care of your needs in those moments. Your needs didn't get met. And often we look back and we think that other people need to meet our needs. But often it's ourselves, right? We could have met our own needs in those moments. We didn't need that person to acknowledge us or see us or hear us or apologize to us or whatever it is that was unresolved. We needed ourselves to stand up for ourselves, to speak our mind, to be the realist part of ourselves, to share and validate. And if we lost them, then so be it. But what we needed to do was have that full expression until we got it off our chest, we got it off our hearts, right? So we hear ourselves, we see ourselves, we acknowledge ourselves, we unburden ourselves. So that's why techniques like journaling, and doing all the inner work, parts work, and fragmentation work, and all these different ways of looking at ourselves. Therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, any kind of investigation work, that trauma work, trauma-informed work. We are just basically trying to, where do we deny ourselves? Where do we abandon ourselves, right? Where did we let ourselves down? Where do we not meet our own needs? What is still unmet inside us that we need to meet? And though that's really the deep question, that's the work. And that's why something like self-love and self-love techniques, can circumvent everything. Because when you meet your own needs and when you love yourself unconditionally now, because we can't change the past, then we actually love ourselves in the past. By loving ourselves unconditionally and deeply and fully in the present, and meeting all those needs and emotions as they come up, as triggers come up and point to, hey, this problem in the past you didn't meet, so I'm going to have it come up in a new way. It's going to be a trigger for you. It's going to feel like a trigger. It's reminding you of your past. You're triggered because of something in the past. You can't change the past, but here it is again. Now you can change it. And it's not that we need that person to acknowledge us or the situation to change or anything in the outside. It's like, here's our second chance to be with ourselves, to feel the emotion fully, to say what we want to say, right? To say what's on our heart, to be seen by ourselves, by whoever, to be seen, to be heard, and to acknowledge ourselves and forgive ourselves and love ourselves. And just be authentic, to be you, to not hold anything back, to be you. And it doesn't mean express and take it out on the other person. The other person is just a mirror. The other person, everyone in your life and every situation is just a mirror. It's just reflecting back to you what is not working within you, what is at dis-ease and disharmony inside you. So don't blow up and express at the other person. It's not their fault. This is coming up in you, and this needs to be solved in you. So where did you abandon yourself? Where did you not see and hear yourself? Here is your chance to fully feel this feeling, to maybe acknowledge this sucks. This is the worst thing. I don't need to pretend it's better than it is. I wanted to feel like a victim. I wanted to feel heard. I wanted to be acknowledged. I wanted somebody to say this is hard, so I'm going to say this to myself. Like, this is hard, right? Whatever needs to be acknowledged and felt as triggers come up, as your present life is lived. They keep coming up. They keep repeating in different ways. You get your chance every day. You don't need to go back and revise the past. You can. You absolutely can. There's techniques that you can go back and revise the past. All of this work is pointing to one thing, and it's complete self-love and acceptance and being who you are and having the real you be seen and heard by yourself. Because then you're living incongruent with the true you, with your soul, with the person who you are inside. And there's no disharmony, there's no dis-ease. Even if it's a bad feeling or emotion, you're feeling it. You're acknowledging it fully. And you're giving yourself and meeting the needs in a way that you need them to be met. There's no disharmony there. There's no dis-ease there, right? Because it's when we're incongruent with ourselves, when we're at odds with ourselves, when we're hiding pieces of ourselves or fixing pieces of ourselves or not acknowledging parts of ourselves and our feelings and our emotions and our truth, whatever it is. These are the things that need to come to the light, that we need to fully say, feel in the tangible world with our five senses. We need to fully express to ourselves these deeper truths that lay inside us that need to be seen, heard, acknowledged, and integrated so that we're whole. This is what the wholeness work is all about. So, I know I said, and I say, that the highest work is assuming you are different. You are a different person, right? And oftentimes that is true. You can just say, I am. Everything's available to you. I am. Whatever follows behind I am is true, right? I am not feeling well. I am sick. And that is true. I am happy and healthy. I feel good in my body. That is true if you let it. But sometimes we have to do the deeper work. So you can't be afraid to say, okay, I feel good in my body. I am healed. You can stop and say, what is it unacknowledged in me? What is unhealed inside me? Why is my body resisting actually coming into alignment and being healed? And it's because we aren't practicing being who we are in each moment and giving ourselves and meeting our needs in each moment. We're going back to the habits and we're going back to the patterns that made us sick, right? That leave us feeling isolated and unacknowledged and sad and scared and hurt. And nobody else has to change, okay? It's not like you have to express this to a certain person and get an apology or whatever. That's sometimes, yeah, great. You can write those letters. And we might go through that. You can write those letters of anger to the people. Say everything that you need to do. And then you can even write a letter back to yourself from that person saying you were right and having all the apologies. You can do all these techniques and they're great and they help and they work. But in the end, it's all just a technique to get you to acknowledge what has not yet been acknowledged in yourself, to bear the part of your soul to yourself. You can do it through writing, you can do it through talking to somebody else or expressing or thinking about it or whatever it is. But whatever's still inside you that hasn't been acknowledged or talked about or said or thought in the way that you need it to, so you can meet the need that was never met. That's what we're going for here. To love the part of you that was never loved, to hear the part of you that was never heard, so that you can be the truest part of yourself. You can be your real self, right? It's all about being your real self and loving yourself unconditionally, who you are, and meeting your own needs. And often we want to be seen or witnessed or acknowledged by others. That's why there are others there. They are the mirror to ourselves. They're the mirror. They're what can show us. That's why source consciousness, that's why we're all fractals of source consciousness, of God. Because these are just different ways that it is reflected back to God, so he can see the whole. All the pieces reflect and make up the whole. And when we interact with other people and we use them to be seen and heard and validated, it's just like they're holding up a mirror and we're finding a way to see and validate and hear and become ourselves. So that's what all these people are there for. They're mirrors. They're holding up ways. And when we express to others, when we get angry at them, or maybe we cry and we want to be comforted and we want to say this, we want to say that, it's never to the other person. It's never because of the other person. They are holding up a mirror so that we can be and validate ourselves, so that we can see ourselves, so that we can get our own needs met, so that we can love ourselves, we can be more, we can see more of the truest parts of who we are. They're holding up mirrors so that we can reflect ourselves and who we need and want to be. That's why we are all here on this universe, because we're reflecting back to God in different ways, from different vantage points and different angles, so that he can see the wholeness of all of creation. But we don't necessarily need others to accomplish being seen and heard and witnessed and loved and express our point of view. We don't need others to do that. We can do it with ourselves. We can do it through some practices and techniques that we have, like journaling and meditation and other things, so that we're not expressing or alienating or distancing or finding companionship or using other people or relying on others. We can also get to know ourselves and become the truest version of who we are by holding up the mirror to ourselves, by becoming our own mirrors. And that's exactly what all these different inner healing techniques do. They help us hold the mirror up for ourselves so we can reflect back what we need and want to be, what is actually there, and then make the changes to what we want to be there, right? Make the changes. When we look in an actual mirror and we see a person who is not smiling back, we don't go up to the mirror and bang on the mirror and try to change the mirror. We change ourselves. And when we smile, the mirror reflects that back. So that is mirror work. That is manifestation. That is law of assumption, the law of vibration. It is all here. It's all the work. We're just trying to be who we are, to see who we are, to acknowledge and witness and be here and love ourselves, the purest parts of ourselves, to be the soul, to know ourselves. That's what it's all about. All of these different techniques work, but they're all getting to the root of the problem, right? Which is, I no longer have to be this person or play out this pattern. I no longer have to feel this way because it's not trapped inside me anymore. I don't have to feel it anymore because I'm not that person anymore, because I am healed, because I am the truest version of me. I am the light in the world. I can let this shine because I'm now in alignment with my soul. I'm in alignment with who I am. I feel good about me. I've expressed who I am. I'm expressing who I am every day, and I love that person. I am being. I'm in being. I am the I am. I am being the version of myself, the real person who I am, and I'm loving that person and meeting that person's needs every day in the now, in the right here, right now. So I know that this has been a long video and it's kind of jumped all over and taken a lot of different things into account. But when we're reverse engineering a disease, a physical illness, remember, it usually starts because we have a problem. We have an experience or a relationship or a situation in our life that just hasn't gone the way we wanted to, and we didn't love ourselves through it. We didn't express what we needed to. We didn't acknowledge ourselves. And so emotions come up. Maybe it's sadness, maybe it's grief, maybe it's anger, right? Frustration, loneliness, feeling of abandonment. These feelings come up, and when we ignore them, suppress them, reject them, deny them, disown them, try to change them, we only make it stronger, we make it bigger, and we grow more of what we don't want. We're ignoring the message, the problem, the real true problem, and it becomes it becomes dis-ease in our body and expresses in a physical way. And then we focus on the physicality of it all, and we're so detached from whatever started it. And this is how the problem builds, and the disease builds, and the illness builds, and the chronic conditions and patterns and everything that go along with it build. And so when we're reverse engineering that, we go backwards from there. We try to find the emotion that is associated with the entanglement, and then we ask ourselves why we felt that emotion. What is unacknowledged? What need is unmet? Where do we not be our true selves, or love our true selves, or hear or see our true selves? And then we give that to ourselves, and we don't have to go back to the past to do it, because we have opportunities every single day to live out those same patterns as they come up as triggers constantly in our life. So we have the ability in the now, in the present moment, in the now, to be the person, our true self, and love our true self, and meet our true needs every moment, right here, right now. And therefore we have the ability to be whoever we want and create whatever future we want by being in vibration with these high vibrational frequencies and feelings of love and belonging and acceptance, and feeling authenticity, feeling aligned, feeling calm, feeling peace, feeling joy. And when we're in alignment with these feelings in the now, we create more of that in the future, and we create our best future versions of ourselves, which is what brain retraining and the power of manifestation is all about. So this has been a biggie. Please watch it a few times. Try to understand it, what is at the root, what's causing this, and how we can untangle this mess. And because there's a message at the bottom of your mess. And when you hear the message, when you love yourself fully, deeply, and you are and you become, you start to be the version of yourself that you have not been. That is what's hurting you. Right? That's what's hurting you, is not living in alignment with joy, with love, with peace, with all of the things that you desperately need and want. Right? But your power was taken away somehow, or you let your power slip away. You're not standing in your own power and your own truth. And when you do, you can heal it all. So I hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you in the next one.